Montessori Grandma. Episode 57. History Part 1. What is prehistory?
History Part 1. What is prehistory? Written and presented by Geeta Vijayachandran. We had looked at prehistory before. We had listened to the story of the coming of humans, one of the 5 big stories offered in the Montessori Elementary classes. In the timeline we used, we had seen how humans lived during the early times. In this video, we will look at that time in more detail. What is prehistory? When we look at history or prehistory, we are dealing with time. We had looked at the topic time in episode 13, the story of time. All that is recorded is history. Books came with the invention of the printing machine. Prehistory refers to the time before the first form of writing developed. It relies on archaeology. That is, excavations, finding bones, buildings, artifacts, and cave drawings. These are studied by archaeologists and they reach a conclusion to the time that this happened. Prehistory and history. Prehistory spans from roughly 3.3 million years ago, that is the first stone tools were discovered, to about 3500 to 3000 BCE, that is till the invention of writing, covering Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic periods. History begins with recorded writing, advancing through Bronze and Iron Ages. Major milestones include fire mastery, that is 1 million years ago, agriculture, that is 10,000 BCE, and early civilizations. Prehistoric timeline is generally divided into 3 major periods. They are the Stone Age or Paleolithic era, the Agricultural Revolution or the Neolithic era, the Metal Age, which consists of the Bronze and Iron Age. Let's look at the Stone Age. The Stone Age began nearly 2.6 million of years ago with the rise of the first humans living a nomadic life. This means they never settled in one place. They kept migrating from one place to another, especially for hunting. For hunting, they started using stones to make tools like clubs, axes, knives, and so on. Everything was made of stone. This is why we call it the Stone Age. Making of hand axes. Now, these pictures show you how the Stone Age humans made hand axes. So, how from a big stone they had to chip and finally get a sharp axe. Homo erectus. It is in the Stone Age that the Homo erectus is known to have discovered fire. This allowed us to cook our food. This may be the main factor behind the development of our brains that made us smarter and allowed us to enter the next stage, that is a Neolithic period, which started around 12,000 years ago. People started to tame animals during this time. Neolithic period was also called the New Stone Age. This was an era of technological and social development. Huts and group living started during this time. This established most of the elements of cultures, such as the domestication of animals and the appearance of crafts such as pottery and weaving. This also saw the start of early chiefdoms, which are habitats that were ruled by a chief. But the best thing to happen during the Neolithic period was the beginning of farming. Humans learned farming and grew crops including wheat, maize, and barley. This led to the construction of small villages where Homo sapiens who were left began to settle permanently in circular homes made of mud brick. Another important innovation that happened during the Neolithic period was the invention of the wheel. Due to this invention, development became quicker as humans entered the Metal Age that started approximately 6,000 years ago. The Metal Age is divided into three stages: Copper Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. During this age, humans learned to heat metals at extreme temperatures and transformed them into different types of tools. Weapons, vessels, and decorative items like necklaces were made through a process called metallurgy. The Copper Age was followed by the Bronze Age. Next came the Iron Age, where everything was made of iron. The tools and the weapons were all made of iron. The Iron Age led to the start of the barter system. Since metallurgy was a highly skilled task known to a few, people began to swap agricultural products in exchange for metallic goods, giving rise to the barter system, which eventually started trade. No money was involved. Trading helped small villages to grow in size, turning them into larger cities and allowing cultural and commercial exchange. There was an increase in trade between people with the development of various new transport systems such as sailboats and wagons. Although it gave birth to social classes such as rich and poor, human lives became better during the Metal Age, which ended with the invention of the writing system about 5,500 years ago. The Iron Age ended when human culture advanced to new levels. In some instances, the Iron Age ended when a civilization still in its wake was conquered by a superior civilization. The Iron Age ended through a transition to classical antiquity, driven by the rise of literate, expanding empires like Rome, Persia, or the Mauryas that absorbed tribal cultures and introduced comprehensive written records, marking the end of prehistory. It did not end with a new metal, but through cultural shift. After the Iron Age, in many parts of Europe, especially Britain, the period was marked by the Roman invasion and conquest, starting around 43 CE. This brought major changes. The Celts or Iron Age people were largely conquered or absorbed into the Roman Empire. The era of prehistory, that is before written records, ended as the Romans brought writing and recorded history to Britain. Other major changes were Romans replaced scattered hill forts with planned stone built towns and built a network of roads. While iron remained important, the Romans introduced advanced engineering, sanitation, and new building techniques. The largely tribal, farming based society shifted towards a more organized, urbanized, and imperial way of life. In other regions, the Iron Age transitioned into classical antiquity, such as in Greece and Rome, or continued into the early Middle Ages, depending on the area. That brings us to the end of prehistory. We will look at the beginning of wheels, which made not only travel but also the carrying of goods easier, thus starting trade between groups. We will look at recorded history in a later video. That brings us to the end of prehistory. Thank you for watching. This is Geeta Vijayachandran signing off.
Montessori Grandma.